the UFC on Fox analyst, as well as a former bantamweight champion of said sport, right here in the Rich Eisen Show studio, Dominick Cruz. Good to see you, sir.
You too.
What do you think about this fight that's going down this weekend? What do you think?
Which one?
Well, okay. The fight. John
the main
Jones.
Event, John Jones, Daniel Cormier.
That fight, yes.
Well, I have I'm really interested in it myself. Obviously, I'm in the sport, but I also know these guys personally. Like, I can remember going to specific camps out in Pennsylvania and seeing John Jones before he was John Jones, training alongside him and seeing him, just his mentality. And he's just an extremely competitive individual. He legit, I was doing pretty good in practice and I was sparring real well and having a good day. And he literally came up to me after my sparring round and was like, "Come on, let's go some rounds." And he's like, pushing me, like wanted to go with me, and he's just such a competitive individual that it doesn't matter weight class. He just wants to learn.
How many pounds do you give up to?
Yeah, I mean, I told him that. I was like, "Dude, I just sparred 5 rounds. Like, you're 230 pounds. I'm not trying to spar with you right now, man. Get away from me. You're huge."
Yeah, right.
And he didn't know me, and I didn't know him. And this was back when I was in the WC. But I just remember that's my first account with John Jones, and he didn't care about trying to beat me up or me beat him up. It was about learning. He wanted to flow with me and feel what I did because I was having some success in the room. And this is his mindset. He's a thinker. He's a learner. And his mind's not closed off to anybody, and that's what makes him good.
Well, some would say, based on what's going on with him in his life, he doesn't think
I like the way you
clearly
put that.
or
Well
properly,
said.
Dominic.
Well, we're talking about mixed martial arts and fighting. So maybe he thinks clearer about havoc than he does about things to keep him out of it.
Interesting. Right. So what happens, do you think, on Saturday night when these guys get in the octagon together?
Well, this fight is I'm hoping it goes to the third fight. I would like to see DC go out there and see a rubber match out of this, but this is a hard fight. You got John Jones, who's so long that his range is almost like an extra weapon. So now, while most people, you just have to get past their hands to get in the pocket, you have to get past John Jones's hands, his feet, which are his kicks, his knees and his elbows. But his knees and his elbows are longer than most people's legs and arms. So now he's almost got twice the amount of range on his weapons than anybody else. So it's harder to get into the pocket where DC has to be. That being said, range is the key to this fight. DC's got to keep John on his heels. If he doesn't keep him on his heels, it's a rough night for DC. The problem is, to keep John Jones on his heels, you have to get through his elbows and his knees after you get through his hands and his kicks. So there's double penetration of layers of defense, of offense of John Jones that you got to get through just to get to the pocket to wrestle him, which is where Daniel Cormier will find his success, in my opinion.
Well, Dominick Cruz here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do you think that Cormier's in a no-win situation?
Definitely not. Definitely not in a no-win situation.
Well, because if he wins, that's, you should beat somebody who hasn't fought in 15 months. And if you lose, his legacy is now basically branded by John Jones.
That's actually a fair statement, except the fact that you have to think that John Jones is already perceived highly by most as the actual champion because DC earned it while John Jones got it revoked.
Yes.
Because of himself. So John Jones got himself in trouble. They took his belt. DC comes back and he wins the belt. So now everybody says, well, you didn't really beat John Jones, though. You lost to the actual champ. And so this is the argument that it's created.
Sort of the way that when NBA teams won their titles while Jordan was playing baseball.
There you go. And people, there's always like an asterisk, kind of like, right. What if Jordan came back? And so this takes away that asterisk. And I think that's the motivation behind DC. Imagine being DC, beating everybody handily and smoking everybody really just. And then everybody says, but you're not the champ. You're not really that good. You lost to John Jones. It's like, you can't hear that if you're the champion. You can't. DC can't fathom that in his head, so he's got to face him. And honestly, this is the best way to face him. He's got momentum. He earned those losses back by getting 2 more wins for the title to prove to himself how good he really is. Now he gets to rematch John Jones, as John Jones has been on the outside just trying to gather himself together. So my question is, does the timeout help John Jones or hurt John Jones? And does the time with DC competing help DC or does it hurt DC? That's the real question. Who's more fresh going into this fight? For me, I've been out for up to 3 years at a time.
Yes.
And coming back from that was actually one of the best performances in my career, which actually I thought would be different. I thought it would be worse. But it turned out that the rest was something I absolutely needed. I needed to rest my body for that amount of time. I put so many hours, so much work on this body that when I took that little rest and came back and fight, I was fresh, I was hungry, my spirit was clean. I was just ready to go. And I'm curious if this is what we see out of Jon Jones. I mean, you're going to see a sharp guy. Not to mention how hungry and angry he is of all the buildup over the years. Everything DC's saying while he's watching the guy that he can't stand win the titles that he believes he deserves. I've also been there. It's tough.
I bet, and I want to talk about where you are as a fighter for the moment, but you're here as a member of the paparazzi, so I'm picking up what you're putting down, which is you're not going to make an actual prediction on this fight.
Well, I can't make a prediction on this fight.
But I'm trying to also put together the breadcrumbs to make a loaf here.
Okay, well, what we got? What you got?
Well, I mean, you're saying that the rest is going to help Jon Jones.
I say that's a question.
Okay, no, I'm putting words in your mouth. Let me do that. Brockman, you can help me if I'm correct in this. All right, that the rest is going to help Jon Jones.
He did say that,
and that there's 2 layers of Jon Jones' offenses.
Sorry.
Well,
it was offenses.
That I guess that Cormier's got to get through.
Correct. So technically that
would make a defense though.
It would be defense then, I suppose. Right. Could be either.
I'm the one doing the mouth word putting into thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to quiet down. This is
I shouldn't
show.
I shouldn't talk to somebody who can actually come across the desk at me, right? But you seem very calm and relaxed.
I mean, you got no worries, man.
He's a deadly
I know
weapon.
who you are. I've seen you. Probably got one good spear tackle in you. I would give you from all the football you covered. So 2 things. If you do decide to stand up and get crazy, I know a good pivot in that you'd fly through the TV, and I wouldn't even have to touch you. So I'm really not worried about any hostilities.
Seriously,
by
you look at me right now, sitting here behind this desk, and you say this guy's got a good spear tackle in him.
1. You've had a lot of coffee. You've been sitting here for who knows how many hours. You got a lot of energy built up.
This sounds like that line from that sounds like the line from Midnight Run. He's sitting there. He's got coffee breath. He's got BO.
I didn't say BO. I mean, it's cool in here.
So
You're good.
I'm trying to figure out. So you're all right. It's gonna. But you also said you'd like to see a third fight between these guys.
Well, that's the thing. This is a real issue. I mean, these guys can't stand each other. Daniel Cormier's got the wrestling accolades. He had a fight in his hands. He had the fight in his hands. He was competitive in the fight with Jon Jones. But then towards the last 2 rounds, Jon Jones just edged it out with his championship mentality, his intelligence. I mean, the guy's got ring generalship, and he also understands how to push past exhaustion to another level. And really, I think that some of the damage that Cormier took to the body in the early rounds wore on him through the fight. I know DC well enough to know that he believes he can minimize that damage in the first couple rounds of this fight, keep Jon Jones moving backwards, get in the pocket, out-wrestle him, mix in his boxing, and do a better job economically in this matchup so that he can go out there and get a decision. I think DC has a better chance of getting a decision. Jon Jones has a better chance of getting a finish. But regardless, this is easily one of the most competitive fights of the year.
Okay, I want to take a 60-second break and come back and talk about McGregor and Mayweather with you.
Got to do it.
Okay, and then find out what's going on with you as a fighter, whether
Yes.
we're going to put that microphone down and see this.
Never really goes down.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, look at McGregor. Where's his microphone right now?
Oh, it's definitely in his throat. I agree with you.
That's the
and
life we
between his
live.
temples. Attaboy. Okay, Dominick Cruz back in 60 seconds here on The Rich Eisen Show. Second segment here with Dominick Cruz, who will be doing commentary for UFC 214 this very weekend. The Honda Center is the site of UFC 214. And I want to talk with you, however, about McGregor Mayweather. And the television-only segment about 15 minutes ago, you talked about how this is a great time to be in your business because the conversation for the last several years has been, can MMA overtake boxing? And now here you have the biggest star the MMA has ever turned out, and I think you can easily say that about Conor McGregor. And
You can't deny it.
And you could even throw Ronda Rousey in that mix. So what Conor McGregor?
Easily.
Okay, right. And this is not a gender thing at all. I mean, Ronda Rousey is a tremendous
It's
star.
just real.
Correct.
It's just
and now
real.
Floyd Mayweather, who is, I guess you have to use pound for pound when you talk boxing and someone of his size.
Yes, you do.
Okay. As all-time great. Now
Yeah.
they're going to go at it. So many people think McGregor has no shot. What say you? What do you think?
Well, he definitely has more than no shot. You know, if I had to break down the analytics of this fight, I say
Yes.
Mayweather is the greatest of all time. He's probably going to go out there and put a heck of a show on and smoke Conor McGregor. But the heart in me, the understanding of fighting, and me being an MMA guy myself, wanting Conor McGregor to go out there and make a point for us MMA fighters, I really know he has the gifts and the tools to get this done in the first 6 rounds. I give him about a good solid 6 rounds of real chance, and that's because of the power, the punch count that he chooses. But it's all going to amount to that because I've seen him get tired, Conor, where he just didn't use his punch count well, and he wore himself out, and then he got beat by Nate Diaz a while back in the UFC. But then he came back and got that loss back by beating that man. With Mayweather, you got to be careful not to punch yourself out. He's a defensive genius. He's the best defensive fighter we've ever seen in boxing, in combat sports, essentially. And this is where Conor can be exploited, in my opinion, by throwing punches at his arms, hitting him in the body, not really doing damage to Mayweather, while Mayweather lets you punch yourself out, and then he can gain momentum in the later rounds and with his defense and pot shot you in between.
And why wouldn't Floyd let him try to punch himself out, Dominic? Because, I mean,
we've seen it.
Well, UFC, you're talking about how with MMA, how he has sometimes done that there. And that's a sprint compared to the marathon of 6 rounds of boxing. 6 rounds of boxing is an eternity
6.
compared. I'm just.
Yeah.
You gave that number. You're the one who chose that number, which is why I'm sticking with that. You got to be kidding me, right? I mean, does he have the endurance? How do you get that endurance up?
Well, I'll be honest. The first 6 rounds will actually be when he should be winning. After that, if he doesn't knock out Mayweather in the first 6, from my opinion, from watching the analytics, it's going to be hard. I've fought pro boxers. By round 6, their economy, their energy usage is just different than ours in mixed martial arts. We're used to 5-minute rounds. They're used to 3-minute rounds. We have a 25-minute match. They have a 36-minute match. So things like this make a difference in the fight. There are less weapons being used. There are no takedowns being used. But I also assume that people are adding into the equation that Conor's going to hang on him, going to grab him, make it dirty. We've seen one of the best boxers of all time also, arguably, Bernard Hopkins, make a living off of grabbing people, boxing them, grabbing, boxing. I don't think that they're going to let this happen to Mayweather. I think coming from a mixed martial arts standpoint to boxing, the refs, I don't know what the refs are going to do or the boxing organization, but they're going to protect Mayweather and not let McGregor hang on him. That makes a big difference because for McGregor to have a chance in this, underhooks would be a good thing, pulling the head down a little bit when he can, hanging on Mayweather while he's in his shell defense would really open Mayweather up. I don't know if they're going to allow that to happen. So this is another thing. Then you got McGregor's a little taller, and he will be heavier on that night. He's a big 55er. I'd say he'll probably have 10, 15 pounds on Mayweather on that night. So there's a little bit of a power difference. So it comes down to speed, who can use their punch count correctly to not waste too much energy, and more than anything, can McGregor get him out of there within 6? I think that is his number one way to victory, is he has to knock him out within 6 rounds. After that, I see Mayweather getting the edge and just start picking him apart from there after that.
Dominick Cruz here on the Rich Eisen Show. Paulie Malignaggi, who sparred with him recently, said of Conor McGregor's power, he had good power, but not quote-unquote, oh my God power. Added that he definitely has a game plan that was quote-unquote particularly awkward. What do you make of that?
Well, we're in mixed martial arts. Paulie Malignaggi's never faced a mixed martial artist. So when you face one, it feels unorthodox because we move differently. We have different understandings of setups, of reads, of defense. We don't look at boxing. When you talk about Floyd Mayweather, Paulie Malignaggi, they have a set of rules that they've stuck to in boxing since they were 3 to 5 years old. In mixed martial arts, all these rules that have built the combat sport of boxing go out the door, and we're rewriting them. And that's why it's the fastest growing sport in the world. Everything that is set to be known as the only way to do things in a combat sport of boxing, with your footwork, with your stance, with switching stance, with your defense, we're rewriting that. That can all be rewritten. And that's what this fight stands for, is that you don't have to just do this combat sport thing one way with one stance and one understanding. Everything is different. That's what makes mixed martial arts so great.
Yeah, but this ring's square, man. You know what I mean? So they're in the world of boxing.
Correct.
Conor's stepping into Floyd's ring.
Yep. And
his world here.
That's his world.
And so, yeah, I mean, you could be rewriting rules, but
what's the point if you don't win?
I guess that's the
argument.
That's the fascinating part about this whole thing, Dominic, as you point out, is that this is the one chance, the puncher's chance, the fighter's chance for MMA to just basically say our guy is not just our guy in an octagon. It's also everybody's guy in a square ring. And you could, for the combat sports, this is the moment where Conor McGregor, on behalf of everybody, can do this and for everybody and say MMA is on top. Do you think he does that?
I think that like I said, if I have to look at the analytics of this matchup, I say that Mayweather gets the win.
Okay.
But when I look at the breakdown of the chances that McGregor has, I say he has 6 rounds to get the knockout. And that's half of a fight. So I think he definitely can get it done. But you got to remember, too, that we're rooting for McGregor for bigger than just combat sports and mixed martial arts. I mean, this man is upset, and we've doubted him since the beginning of mixed martial arts to an extent. And every single time we've done so, he's come out and done something incredible. That's how he's gotten put into this position, because every single time he's been doubted, every single time we found somebody who was supposed to beat him, he didn't just go beat him, he shut them out. It wasn't close. And these are guys that he wasn't supposed to beat. Everybody in the world is seeing this as a potential matchup that could he do that again with the greatest, full contact fighter that we've seen to date so far. Is he that good? That's what this is about, an upset. Everybody likes the underdog. Everybody wants to see the underdog win. Everybody knows McGregor is the underdog in this boxing scenario because we're coming into a sport that is Mayweather's sport under his rules. We're doing that for boxing and for mixed martial arts. We're not getting Mayweather to come to mixed martial arts. We're doing this for boxing and for both sports.
That's a great way to put it. And Brockman, I mean, we've been talking about this too for some time, and I wish there was more conversation like the one that we're having in promotion of this fight instead of the carnival act.
Agreed.
The carnival act and the degrading of each other.
Well,
and the
Let's take a real look at the society today, though.
I get
our
it.
president's doing worse than this.
Well, I mean, we could talk about the way things are in the world, and that this mirrors that. We could say that, but I want to hear. Many people don't know Conor McGregor's story. Many people are going to be introduced to Conor McGregor for the first time, and he looks like a guy straight off a Guy Ritchie set.
Yeah.
Right? Out of a Guy Ritchie movie with a foul mouth.
Yeah.
But he's got a story behind him that's not being told, and the way that you just say what he represents, it's kind of sad that it's getting mixed in that. But we have a few weeks to go, and that's the way I want to talk about this fight.
Yeah, and I'm with you, and that's why I'm here. I'm here as a spokesperson for not just mixed martial arts, but for combat sports. We're not. What you got to remember, what Mayweather and McGregor are doing isn't just a reflection of themselves. It's a reflection of what the fans want and why the fans chose them. So you can't just make a superstar. The superstars are chosen by the fans. And what makes them super is what the fans like about them. Whether we want to believe it or not, this is what people wanted to see. They wanted to see the circus act. They wanted to see all this stuff going. They're having record numbers at these these appearances where they're going and they're just doing a media scrum. I mean, 30,000 people are showing up to listen to these guys talk trash to each other. That's not a small amount of people. So people want to see it. Does it make it right? Does it make it the way that we necessarily want the sport to be represented? Maybe not. But then you've got the real analytics behind it, which says they're driving the sales. But if you get down to the people that these two gentlemen are, I've sat and talked to Mayweather for 30 minutes in a locker room after watching him train live for an hour and a half. He didn't know. I was able to sneak into his workout and watch everything. And to watch the level that this man competes at is incredible. As a world champion, as many times as he's won, he counts every single punch that's thrown, and he ups that punch count every single day. He's got a man just for clicking a little button. Then he goes from boxing to jumping rope to... I mean, I've watched this man train. He trains elite. He is the best in the world. Conor McGregor is no different. This man believes in himself. He's young. He has the power. He has the things in the middle to mix it up. But remember, more than anything, Conor McGregor is known for being the upset man. And that's what we're waiting to see.
We are.
That's what we're waiting to see.
Boy, talking about it, I want it to be tonight.
I know, me
too. This has been fun.
Oh.
Before I let you go, what's going on with your fighting career?
Yeah, I'm waiting right now on... I lost my title recently, and I'm looking to retain it. I'm ranked number 1 in my division. The current title holder hasn't fought since I fought him. He's got a back issue, and so he's hurt, and so I'm wishing him all the best. But, I hope he gets well so we can keep the division moving. If he can't come back and fight, I'd like to, interim belts are there to help promote the division and keep the division moving, he would still be the champion. But at least it kind of puts something out there. If he can't show up and fight because of his back injuries, I'm looking to fight TJ Dillashaw for an interim title, keep the division moving. He would still be the technical champion, but then we'd have another. It would bring the elevation of the fight up for me and TJ if we fought for an interim title, and me and, or whoever would get the belt, which would be me and Cody when we rematch.
Garbrandt.
And Garbrandt, and then it would be built. But right now he's hurt. I'm waiting on him to fight. Why would I fight more than the 25-year-old man with the title when I'm 32 with 6 world titles? I'm waiting on the title. I'm fighting up in the division, not down, so I can't wait to fight for the belt again.
This has been awesome, Dominic. Come back. We'll have you back anytime you want, certainly before the big fight.
Yeah,
certainly,
please.
I'd love it.
Let's do it. Thanks, Rich.
Dominick Cruz here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app, and I'll be sure to move Week 6 games to Saturday for that wedding you have to go to.